Boys, what's good? It's Herm. I thought we'd take a day, we'd talk about the Brooklyn Nets, because the Brooklyn Nets in the past week have signed LaMarcus Aldridge and Paul Millsap, two very interesting signings of veterans that have been around the league for a long time, have made a good impact, and can still make a good impact in the league. I think Paul Millsap and LaMarcus Aldridge will both be very good for this team. On top of that, they made a trade yesterday, I believe, where they moved DeAndre Jordan to the Pistons, who got bought out, signing with the Lakers, in exchange for Jahlil Okafor and Sekou Doumbouya. That's what it was. But yeah, so three big moves for the Nets this week. Getting rid of DeAndre Jordan, who was a big reason that Kyrie and Kevin Durant came there, is because they were friends with DJ and they wanted him there. They end up moving him now because they have so many good players. They don't really want to waste a roster spot on DeAndre Jordan. The Nets are deep, and the Nets are the best team in the NBA if healthy. The Nets should be the favorite if healthy. I'm a Lakers fan, so that should tell you something anyway. But the Nets, to me, if healthy, are the best team in the league. They're deep. They're very good. They have lots of talent at the top and lots of talent throughout with good rookies and young players as well, on top of experienced, very solid veterans as well. So there's a lot of good mix of young and old, top tier talent and good bench guys and starters as well. So we're going to break all that down. We're going to break down why they're going to be better than they were last year, why their record is going to be better than last year, and why they should be the title favorites heading into the season. But before we do that, think about subscribing. It's free. It's easy. Don't like the content. You can always unsubscribe later. That's fine. We talk NBA here. News, rumors, whatever it is, we talk it. So if you're interested in that, think about sticking around. But let's talk about the Nets. So I just want to talk about how deep the Nets are. We all know about the big three, right? That's not going to catch anybody by surprise. Three players that average around 25 points a game or more. So that is crazy. We don't really see that. We don't see teams with three players that average 25. It's just very, very unusual. But KD with 27, 7, and 6. Harden averaging 25, 8, and 11. 11 assists for Harden. Kind of took a backseat role and decided to pass the ball more than initiating for himself. Throughout his career has been a very high-level scorer. Has been kind of the central point of the offense for his entire career, at least since he arrived in Houston. And took a little bit of a backseat, kind of the third option in Brooklyn, and embraced that and took a lot of time passing, racking up assists, making his teammates better, and I respect Harden a lot for changing his role and fitting himself into the team. Kyrie last year averaging 27, 5, and 6. Blake Griffin, I ranked these in order, but I think you could make an argument Bruce Brown should be higher because of the defensive impact he brings and how crucial he was for them in the playoffs last year. I think you could make an argument for Joe Harris being higher. You could make an argument for Claxton being higher, but I didn't want to underrate the veterans either. So the ratings are pretty much, they're kind of, obligatory. They don't really matter that much, but I tried to at least kind of rank them. Blake Griffin last year averaging 11, 5, and 3, looking much better after leaving Detroit and coming to Brooklyn. Looked like a completely different player and a very solid, fourth or fifth option. LaMarcus Aldridge couldn't play that much for the Nets last year because of the heart condition he ended up having. Had to retire suddenly, like pretty much right after he signed with the Nets. I think he only played a couple games with them. But after that, this offseason he came back. He made sure to try to stay in good shape, and then he met with the doctor. They cleared him for basketball activities, and he came back and signed with the Nets after originally having interested with the Bulls, but decided to come back to Brooklyn. And last season put up 14, 5, and 2. Still a very good player in this league. I think he likely comes in at the starting 4 spot instead of Blake because I think he spaces the floor a little better than Blake does. Bruce Brown, great for them last year, super crucial in the playoffs, being a defensive stopper and a reliable shooter as well. Not the best shooter ever, but has a good mid-range and can hit shots when needed, which is something that Joe Harris did not do in the playoffs, even though Joe Harris is a sniper. Bruce Brown, 9, 5-2 last season. Joe Harris with 14, 4-2, which is crazy to see a guy scoring that much coming off the bench. Patty Mills with 11, 2-2, likely with a more featured role this season than he had last year with the Spurs. Gets out of that system that focus, so much on sharing the ball and creating for others, and maybe at this point can be a little more selfish. We can see Olympic Patty Mills out there or something, which would be fantastic to see, because every Olympics Patty Mills is fantastic, looks like a number one option. So maybe coming off the bench here for Brooklyn, being one of the main guys off the bench, can be that go-to scorer off the bench and be more of a contributor offensively than he has been in his career in San Antonio. Paul Millsap likely coming off the bench at this point. I just don't see him starting for this team. He didn't start all of last season for the Nuggets, as it was clear his production was depleting, and he's on the twilight of his career, but is a multiple-time All-Star, has a lot of knowledge, can help the team a lot. Averaged 9, 5-2 last year for the Nuggets. Nick Claxton, I think, is a wild card. Has the versatility to guard basically the 3 through 5 as a center, which is super great for this Nets team, which struggles with defensively in general. So to get Nick Claxton on the wing, able to guard wings and big men, is huge. Averaged 7, 5-1 for them last year, but should take a big jump this year and be a better player. That would be the only reason I would be kind of skeptical of the Aldridge and Millsap signings, is because it takes minutes away from Claxton, who I think is going to be a very, very good player in this league. Cam Thomas, a rookie first-round pick, kind of a value pick towards the end of the first round, was the co-Summer League MVP, putting up almost 30 points a game in the Summer League, is a natural-born scorer, and I think someday we see him in like a Jordan Clarkson, Lou Williams type role off the bench. Could even be a starter in this league someday. Is a very natural scorer. So I think we likely see the Nets with a lineup of Harden at the 1, Kyrie at the 2. Yes, Harden is the point guard for this team. If I know people are complaining, Kyrie's a point guard, Harden's a shooting guard. If you watched the Nets last year, even Kyrie said it. Harden is the point guard for this team. Kyrie Irving took more of a shooting guard role, and I think that's okay. I think it benefited both players and helped the team in the long run. I think Kevin Durant at the 3, Aldridge at the 4, and Blake Griffin at the 5. You can make an argument one of those two could come off the bench, and you could throw Joe Harris or Bruce Brown in the starting 5. But I think this is the most likely starting unit for them. Provides a lot of offense, not a ton of defense, but Aldridge can be okay defensively, as can Blake. Kevin Durant, very underrated defensively. And you have defense off the bench. So Patty Mills off the bench, Joe Harris, Bruce Brown, Paul Millsap, and Nick Claxton. Says a lot. The guys, Cam Thomas, Sekou Doumbouya, Jahlil Okafor don't even crack the top 10 for this team. Other rookies like Day'Ron Sharpe and Kessler Edwards from Pepperdine not making the top 10 either, which is crazy. They are very, very deep and have a lot of solid players. And I just wanted to take a second to talk about why they're going to be better record-wise than they were last season, because they're not going to have this injury trouble again. The team is a lot deeper than they were last year, which allows players to rest. KD, Harden, and Kyrie won't have as much of a workload on them. It won't be as difficult for them, every night, because they won't have to go out there and do everything. They can take some more minutes off the court, have a little pressure eased off them, because the team is much better than it was last season. Especially off the bench is much better than it was last year. KD missed 37 games last year. Harden missed 28. Kyrie missed 18. The big three missed a ton of games last year. Only played 7 games together in the regular season. They went 5-2 in those games. But even though they had all those injury troubles, the Nets still went 48-24 last season for a winning percentage of 67%. With Irving and Harden alone last season, they went 16-3, which was an 84% winning percentage. I'm a big statistics guy, so if you take that sample and assume that it's similar to what the population would be, you take the 84%, you make that over an 82 game season, sorry. The 84 is throwing me off there. Over an 82 game season, last season was 72, but this season it's going back to 82, would be a record of 69-13. Do I think the Nets are going to be quite that good? No, I don't think they probably win 69 games, because I think they're probably resting KD, Harden, and Kyrie still 5 to 10 games over the course of the year. Each of them, I think, get that much rest, I think, likely, just because they don't want to have the same injury issues they had last season. But I think it's completely realistic that the Nets hit 60 wins this season, end up the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, and yes, I think they are easy favorites in the East if completely healthy. I think the Bucks I love the Bucks. I think they're very deep. I think they also have very good top tier talent in Giannis, and one of the most underrated players in the league to me, and Chris Middleton should be considered a top 20 player in the league, but isn't often considered that. Yes, he's kind of streaky, but when Chris Middleton is on, he's absolutely unstoppable offensively. And Drew Holiday as well, one of the best defensive stoppers in the league. The Bucks are good. The Sixers should be good again. You know, who knows what's going to happen with Ben Simmons? That's a crazy situation that I've made a ton of videos on, but who knows what's going on there. The Bulls and Heat should be good, like the Celtics should be good, the Hawks should be good, but none of them stack up with the Nets if they're healthy. With KD alone, the Nets almost took down the Bucks last year. Yes, Harden was there, but Harden was kind of playing on one leg. Like, you shouldn't really put a lot of emphasis on what Harden was doing. It was mostly KD. Kyrie wasn't playing. Kyrie was out with injury. Harden was hobbled, and KD was there willing the team to victories. Took the Bucks to 7 games with KD and an injured Harden, and were basically one step on the line away from going to the finals last season and likely becoming NBA champions. So the Nets were very, very close. They get all their players back this year. They should be even better. This 10-man lineup is ridiculous. And again, like I said, not even including guys like Cam Thomas, Day'Ron Sharpe, Kessler Edwards. They did cut Alize Johnson, so he's not going to be in there. But they have a lot of depth. Like, Patty Mills, Harris, Brown, Millsap, and Claxton, I think could probably start on about half the teams in the NBA. Like, that's how good this bench is. I get Millsap is getting old, but I think these guys could start on about half the teams in the league. And the Nets are just really, really good. Are they finals favorites? Yes. Not as much, though. I think the Lakers are very deep and very good as well. But the Nets are a little younger. They're have a little better top-tier talent. Like, I think KD is probably better than LeBron at this point. Harden is debatably better than Anthony Davis, and Kyrie's better than Russ. So the top-tier talent is a little better. I think they're a little deeper, a little younger, so they're probably the favorite over the Lakers. But this is all on paper. You never know how it's going to play out over the course of the season. But let me know what you think. I think the Nets are easy favorites. Like, I don't think it's super close, especially in the Eastern Conference. Easy favorites in the East, but they should win the whole thing if healthy. Hopefully they stay healthy, and guys like James Harden, and others on the team, Blake Griffin, can get their first ring, and it'll be a great thing to see. Of course, I want the Lakers to win again, but I would love Harden to win one as well. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you think the Nets are the best team in the league. A lot of people think it's the Lakers. A lot of people argue for the Bucks, but let me know what you think. This is an opinionated video, so if you disagree, that's fine, but let me know. Think about subscribing. It's free. It's easy. Don't hit the content. You can always unsubscribe later. That's fine, but think about sticking around. Think about subbing. We're trying to hit 900 by October, and we're on a good path. Already 50 subs in like the first 5 days of the month, so I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.